I've had a number of encounters with leopards. These are true tales of my African adventures. May this inspire you, deter you, caution you, and above all, entertain you. Now, we've had a tame leopard, which was like a big pussycat. It could kill you in the blink of an eye. It was huge. Cape mountain leopard, very beautiful, potentially absolutely lethal, but it was tame. We've had that. I've had friends who have had tame leopards. I've seen people with tame leopards. I also know people who have been killed by their tame leopards, others who have been mauled by their tame leopards. And leopards are extremely efficient hunters, extremely dangerous, and they're good at what they do. And they have been known to be man-eaters, particularly in India, where they have killed an unbelievable number of people and eaten them. In South Africa, or in Southern Africa, and I think I might have mentioned this before, there was an American who came to hunt and he wanted to shoot a leopard. Anyway, he shot and wounded a leopard. I'm not entirely sure about the exact events that took place, but this is how it was told to me. He shot and wounded a young leopard, and the leopard attacked him. And his remarks were, it was like holding on to a chainsaw. A very good description, because this thing chopped him to pieces. You know, when they rake you with their claws, bite you, etc. Recently, I saw some pictures of two men who were attacked by a leopard. They were trying to sedate the leopard and it got free. I don't know what it was in, but I got these pictures sent to me, and you've never seen anything like it before. These people were just full of holes and gaping wounds. They were alive, both of them. I have never seen such an appalling mess. I mean, it looked like somebody tried to take them apart with a blunt object. But it wasn't a blunt object, of course, but that's what it looked like. They were absolutely full of holes and torn to shreds. It is the most unbelievable sight to behold. Now, if a leopard goes for you, as all the big cat experts will tell you, it is the most difficult of all the cats to turn. Once it makes up its mind it's going for you, that's it. And you're kind of defenseless, because these things are big, heavy, dangerous, efficient, fast, with sharp claws, sharp teeth, and they are vicious. So you avoid leopards under the wrong circumstances. I have walked under a tree with a low fork in the branch, just above my head. Found portion of a fresh baboon, only about a day old, stuck in the fork. And, you know, baboons have always traditionally been the staple for leopards, staple diet. And so they like them, of course. And he couldn't quite finish this baboon, left it there. So I was kind of skittish looking around, because on this particular ridge I was on, there were massive boulders at the top of the ridge, where before I'd been there and found bones of countless animals lying there, and I knew leopards hung out there, and this was not far from that. I've also had experiences where I was walking along at just after dark, just past dusk, and looked to my left, and there was a big leopard pacing me. Not far away, 100 feet, 30 meters. And then when I stopped, it stopped, sat down, looked at me, and I had to walk off in a different direction, which I did, and get well away from the leopard, because I had no idea what his intention was. They are so brazen that I've seen leopard crouching in a position where my nyala, a type of antelope, would feed in the late afternoon. And he was obviously waiting for them there. I knew he was waiting for them. And I took a 45 Glock handgun and fired over its head to scare it off. I had to fire 3 shots before it even bothered. and then it got up and sort of sauntered off into the bush. So they can be really cheeky as well. So leopards are a different ball game altogether. So now you will understand how I broke into a fear which you cannot even begin to calculate when I tell you what happened on this occasion. When I was doing my military service up on this plateau, there was a fantastic area. I mean, nobody went there. I think in history only a few people have ever been there, because it is wild, wild, wild. And since the military owned this plateau on top of this mountain, small mountain, no one was allowed there except military personnel, and generally military personnel were not interested in walking around the bush there as I was. They sort of tend to their business in the radar station, guarding, checking, doing calculations, all the things you do in a radar station, and they don't walk around in the bush. I, however, spent all my spare time walking around in the bush looking for you know what. So on this day I went to a part of the plateau where I'd never been before, and the trees were thinning out a bit. There weren't so many trees, and I could see that was because there was more rock close to the surface of the ground, big slabs of rock, and now they were starting to protrude slightly above the ground. And I walked along and I thought, this is fantastic. This is really a beautiful place to find animals in on these slabs of rock. Some of them had burrows going in underneath them, and there were some small boulders around, a few dead trees. It was just absolutely magnificent. If you're a wildlife person, you're just so delighted when you see a place like this. And I walked along, and suddenly there was a fissure in the rock which opened up, and it became cavernous. It was a cave, a vertical cave going downwards. Now that, I thought, is a place and a half for animals to hide, and I had in mind, of course, gigantic pythons. This is where, and there were lots of pythons up there, and they were big. And I thought, this vertical cave is probably where a very big python would make a home. And so, of course, I had to explore. Now, I never expected a cave, so I didn't have a torch. But you know, when you're young and you don't have a brain, you don't think about or care about that. You still want to get in the cave, even though you know you're not going to be able to see, just to try to get a cursory look around the place. So I went, put my equipment down, snake hook, bags, etc. And I only had a pair of shorts and an army vest on. I lowered myself down into the vertical cave, because I could see that about 1.8 or 2 meters below there was a ledge. And when my feet felt the ledge, I could then see after a few seconds that this was actually the floor of the cave, which extended forward quite a distance. So it was a deep and a large cave, and I strained my eyes and waited for my eyes to become accustomed to the dark and see if I could see any further. There was a little bit of soft sand which had blown down there and been washed down there by rain, and then I could see if there were snake tracks, or what tracks there were indeed on the floor of the cave. When suddenly a leopard screamed at me. Now they can roar and scream in such a way that everything in your body just comes to a standstill. You get such a fright, your eyes start watering. In fact, you can't see because water streams out of your eyes. I presume it's the same for everybody. I'm not prone to fear, but there are times when fear overcomes you in such a manner that it's uncontrollable. So I got goosebumps. I'm sure my hair was standing up as if I'd been to some weird hairdresser. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't think. I expected to be attacked at any second. I expected to be knocked over with the ferocity of a vicious, terrible attack from a leopard, because it was right near me. The roar was so loud, that scream and the roar was so loud. It was just somewhere in front of me. I don't know if it was 3 meters or 4 meters or 5 meters away, but it was very close. It could have had cubs, it could have been by itself, it might be a male, it might be a female, it might be a gigantic leopard or not such a big one. Doesn't matter. The fear was so intense, to describe it is a futile exercise. I just wish I could describe fear as I felt it sometimes, because then I would be able to thrill everybody. I leapt upwards and grabbed the top of the rock ledge, and I flipped myself out of there in such an efficient manner that I didn't even feel myself going out, and I ran. And I ran for about 2 or 3 minutes until I was really far away. And then I stopped and I turned around, still goose flesh, still with my hair standing up, still with my eyes watering, and I just stared in the direction of the cave.